All right, so here's the deal. Working in Colorado tonight, my buddy Randy Spade's working the camera. I shot a video earlier, it kind of explains where we're at. So then, since then, we rode it around once, tied its head around to the right like this, left it around for an hour or so while we went and did other things, maybe an hour and a half, I guess.
About that.
Came back, rode it again for about a 15-minute section of just riding it around. He tried to run off pretty good, tried to buck a few times. This time, since I could control his head, he knows I can control his head. When he went to bucking, I kind of spurred him around and whooped and rode a little bit, and made for about 3 seconds of him trying to buck, 3 to 5 seconds of living hell on him that he didn't like. And then when he calmed down, I tied his head back around, and then we're going to come back and try it again and see how that goes. Now he keeps wanting to go out the door, so we've hung a flag to kind of discourage him from wanting to go out there. I don't know if it'll help or not help, but it'll either A, discourage him from going out that door, or B, get him used to the flag. Either way, win-win. So anyway, so here we're going to do, this is going to be the last ride for today. His head is turned around to help him learn to flex. So I just tie the rein to the back part of your saddle there, leave them there for long periods of time, and that way when you can take a hold, you can pull them around. When I rode him earlier, he's actually pretty flexible on the left for whatever reason. I guess he's left-handed. To the right, he sucks. Really, really stiff to the right. So now he spent probably 2.5 hours with his head tied to the right, an hour and a half first, and then another hour later while we were training other horses. So we just go over, we've got, multiple barns here, so we can start them in this barn, and then we, like whatever I'm doing in a round pen like this, leave it around, then we just go over to the big barn and ride over to the big barn and freaking ignore them, come back and use them, learn and stuff. So.
He looks pretty chilled out, though.
Okay, one thing I'm doing again, now see we haven't been in here for 45 minutes, whatever it's been since we were last in here. So I'm rechecking all my gear, make sure everything is good. Don't just assume it's good. Freaking weird things happen while you're going. If you roll on the saddle get loose, cords come undone. You may have last time been hanging on by a thread and got lucky. So everything looks good. So before I get in there, I double check everything. Now at this point right here, all I'm really wanting to do is walk around the arena a little bit. Nothing more than that. With him having such a flighty nature, if I had my choice, I'll probably just walk him, trail ride him, walk him around, cross ditches, follow a group of horses for probably the next month. And I'd really just assume him not throw out a canter first off, so that he understands it's okay just to walk, just to stop, just to turn. Because this mule is extremely fast. Like chasing, four-wheelers chasing him fast. So he's not going to be the kind that I've got to encourage to go or to canter or any of that kind of deal. So I'm not really worried about that. Much more the focus in the beginning that we're going to do a lot of standing still and a lot of walking. Tell you guys one thing I'm doing when I'm kind of popping him in the butt or popping him in the shoulders with the reins. I want to get him to go forward. I don't want to kick him with my spurs to get him to go forward. A lot of people think that spurs are a weapon or spurs are for gouging or spurs go mean. I use my spurs to move laterally. If I want to move his shoulders, move his back in. Maybe if it's a big ditch and he's being a jackass and he already knows how to go and they won't go, I'll spur him. But generally, I just use my spurs to go left and right. Side passing, disengage your back end, disengage your front end. So if I go to kicking on him now with the spurs, and he doesn't understand what spurs are, it's actually just going to bow up his middle, and it doesn't tell him to go. It tells him that you're hurting my belly. That's basically all he understands. So especially with one already wanting to buck. If I take the reins and slap him on the ass, He knows he ought to go forward and stuff. Now, when I'm doing it, I'm going to do it as, I'm just popping him really light. Now, when he's bucking, then I'm kind of whooping him hard. But basically, instead of kicking and sitting here and going bam, 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 and kicking him and making him pissy in the sides, and then later on when I want him to side pass, having that kind of desensitized, I don't kick him to make him go. I only kick them, I just never kick them to make them go. I don't use that as a cue. Eventually later on, I'll squeeze my calves and make a kissing noise and off they'll go. As far as digging in squares, I don't believe in that myself. So I'm just going to pop him. And like I said, as soon as he takes any kind of step forward, we're good. You know, that's all I want. You know, and then what I'll do is once he understands that, I'll just start making like a kissing noise. And then we'll have him start moving on from just the kissing noise. Because he'll know that the kissing noise comes first, then the whip comes second. Eventually we won't have to do that at all. Now, same thing, let's say if I want him to turn hard to the right. Okay, let's see if he, okay. Now he's giving to the right, so that shows that it's good to tie their head around. Because now he's giving to it pretty dang good. This is actually one thing that's pulling him around. So, that, you know, considering if you look at the first video, I'm cranking his head with all I got. And now I'm holding him with one finger. That's in 2.5 hours in 2 different sessions of just being tied around the saddle. Me not doing nothing. So be sure you do that drill a lot. Call it a flex drill. Get say 5 steps out of him. So I start pulling. And as soon as he takes any step at all backwards, I'm going to release. I mean, if he takes a breath backwards, if he farts backwards, I'm going to release. You know, I don't do anything. I just pull. Feel like he's got his head up, so we're going to just bring him back around to the middle where we can work a little bit. And once we get to 5 steps in a row straight, we'll quit him for the night. But when I'm first, I don't try to get 5 at first. I just try to get any release of, see that? That's all I want right there. And I mean, as soon as he takes that step backwards, boom, I'm releasing. I'd like to just breathe on those reins if he comes back. Okay, now I've got consistently 3 or 4 different times, I got 1 step backwards. So now I'm going to ask for 2 steps backwards. So I'm going to pull, and 1, 2, now I'm going to release. Now I'm going to walk him around a minute. We're going to forget that. Let him disengage his brain. Okay, same thing. Get control of it, get him stopped. I want to feel his back relax. Okay, now you see him take those steps backwards? Because he's thinking that I want him to step backwards. He's already thinking that. So now we're good. So now I'm going to ask for 3 steps. Okay, 1, 2, 3, boom, okay? Same thing, walk him off. He knows that we're going to do a little bit of something in the center. I don't stress him in the center, but this is where I work him, and this is where I stop and get off of him. I don't let him get off at the door, and I'll never get him off at the door, okay? So you can say, so when he gets here, he's like, he's asking me. So now I'm going to ask for 5 steps backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Little sideways on that one. So I'm going to get one. Boom. That was good enough for 5. So it wasn't 5 in a row though. It was 3 and a half kind of. But that's good because I want to say I'm kind of letting him go out of the pressure, let him know that that's close enough. And then I'll just come back and do it again until I get 5 straight in a row. Now instead of his brain being on let's run around, let's buck, let's go crazy, it's going to be we're going to come to the center and we're going to just do some kind of silly drill. You know, so 1, 2, 3. Say we're walking on it. So now I'm going to pull him around. consistently so he knows that that's the preparatory command for stopping. Now I'm going to start doing an audio, or I'm going to start making some noise as well. So I'm going to start going shh, shh, shh. And that's going to keep my foot forward. Shh, 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 shh. So he starts knowing that that means back as well. It's real common for him to get pissy about halfway in the drill. He started off doing good, and then he decided, you know what, I don't really freaking think so. So we're just going to stay hooked until we get that goal back. Boom, perfect. That's exactly what I want. That was a goal I set in my head that I wanted to do. So now, I'm just going to let it go for today. Quit on a good note. Don't pick no more fights. If that had taken an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that's what I'd have done to get my 5 steps. Luckily, as cold as it is, we're done. See y'all.